Ever wondered why some truck drivers seem to be on the road forever? It's a question that keeps many of us up at night, probably the same time those truckers are still cruising down the highways. Today, we're going to unravel the mystery behind these seemingly endless journeys. The first thing you need to know is that truck driving isn't as freewheeling as it may seem. In the US, there are specific rules in place, known as the hours of service, which dictate how long a truck driver can be on the road before they need to take a break. These rules are designed to ensure the safety of the driver and others on the road by preventing driver fatigue. The hours of service rules are pretty straightforward. There's the 30-minute rule, which mandates a half-hour break after 8 hours of driving. Then there's the 11-hour rule, which says a driver can't drive for more than 11 hours within a 14-hour window. And let's not forget the 70-hour rule, which caps the total driving time to 70 hours within an 8-day period. To reset these clocks, there's the 10-hour reset, where drivers must take a 10-hour break after reaching their daily limit. And then there's the 34-hour reset, which allows drivers to reset their 70-hour clock by taking a 34-hour break. When it comes to sleeping, drivers have the option of the split sleeper berth provision, where they can split their 10-hour off-duty period into 2 segments. But here's where the plot thickens. Not all truckers play by these rules. There's a whole other world out there of trucker outlaws, drivers who bend or even break these rules. Why do they do it? How do they get away with it? And what does it mean for the rest of us sharing the road with them? Stay tuned as we delve into the world of trucker outlaws. So, what are these hours of service rules all about? Well, let's dive right in, shall we? First off, we have the 30-minute rule. This one's as simple as it sounds. After driving for 8 hours, it's time to pull over and take a breather for at least half an hour. It's a chance to stretch those legs, grab a bite, or even take a quick nap, recharge those batteries. Then there's the 11-hour rule. This is your driving limit within a 14-hour window. You've got 11 hours to cover as much ground as possible. But remember, this includes only actual driving time. The time spent at truck stops, loading docks, or just stuck in traffic doesn't count towards these 11 hours. Speaking of the 14-hour window, that's our next rule. Once you start your day, you have 14 hours to fit in those 11 hours of driving. After that, it's lights out, no matter how many hours you've actually been on the road. Next up, the 70-hour rule. This is your weekly limit. Over any 8-day period, you can't drive more than 70 hours. Once you hit that limit, you're done for the week. Now let's talk resets. The 10-hour reset allows you to reset your 14-hour window, but only after you've taken 10 consecutive hours off duty. Think of it as hitting the refresh button after a long day. The 34-hour reset, on the other hand, is like a mini vacation. After you've maxed out your 70 hours, taking 34 consecutive hours off duty resets your weekly clock back to 0. Lastly, the split sleeper berth rule gives you a bit more flexibility. Instead of taking a full 10 hours off duty, you can split it into 2 periods. One period must be at least 8 hours long, spent in the sleeper berth, and the other at least 2 hours long. This doesn't extend your 14-hour window, but it does stop the clock. In an ideal world, these rules ensure safety on the road, but we're not living in an ideal world, are we? Now let's talk about the trucker outlaws, the mavericks of the road. These are the folks who look at the rule book, scoff, and toss it out the window. Why is that, you may ask? Are they just thrill seekers, or is there more to the story? On one hand, you've got truckers who see these rules as a hindrance, a ball and chain, if you will. The 30-minute rule, the 11-hour rule, the 14-hour rule, the 70-hour rule, it all feels like a straitjacket. And let's not even get started on the 10-hour reset, the 34-hour reset, and the split sleeper berth. To them, these rules are nothing more than red tape, a bureaucratic nightmare designed to keep them from doing their job. They're out on the open road, free as a bird, and they don't want anyone telling them when to stop and rest. They figure they know their own limits better than some pencil pusher in an office. On the other hand, you've got the pressure from the companies. Some trucking firms, like our imaginary friend Superego, are known to fix logs. This allows drivers to keep on trucking when they should be shutting down. But why would they do that? Simple, more miles mean more money. But here's the rub. Playing fast and loose with the rules can come with hefty consequences. We're talking risking their commercial driver's license, hefty fines that would make your eyes water, and even potential jail time. That's right, folks, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So why do they do it? Why do these road rebels choose to live life in the fast lane, ignoring rules designed for their safety? Are they more special, or is it a case of the ends justifying the means? But why would anyone risk so much? What's the real reason behind this rebellion? Well, stick around, folks, because this is where the plot thickens. When it comes to bending rules, some truckers and companies have turned it into an art. Now, we're not endorsing illegal activities here, but let's take a peek behind the curtain at the infamous art of falsifying logs. To start with, there's the classic old switcheroo. That's when a driver swaps out their logbook for a blank one. This fresh canvas allows them to reinvent their day, painting a picture of perfect compliance with the hours of service rules. Remember, this isn't a confession, it's a masterpiece in the making. Then we have the phantom co-driver. In this scenario, a lone driver invents an imaginary partner. This invisible co-driver takes the wheel while our artist catches some shut-eye. On paper, it's all above board, but in reality, it's a solo show. Moving on, we come to the time traveler. This artist bends time itself, adjusting their log to show they started their day later or ended it earlier. A little tweak here, a little nudge there, and voila, they've magically stayed within the legal driving limits. Lastly, we have the paperless Picasso. They've gone digital, using software to manipulate their electronic logs. This method requires some technical finesse, but for the tech-savvy trucker, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Now, you may be wondering why anyone would risk their commercial driver's license, their wallet, and even their freedom for a few extra miles. Well, the answer isn't as straightforward as you might think. It's not just about covering more miles to make more money, although that's certainly a part of it. For some, it's about the thrill of the chase, the adrenaline rush of outsmarting the system. For others, it's about proving they can handle more than the rules allow. And for a select few, it's about rebelling against a system they feel is unjust. But is it just about covering more miles, or is there something more? That's a question we'll delve into in the next scene. So, stick around and let's keep unraveling the mysteries of the open road together. In the grand scheme of things, why do these outlaw truckers matter, you might ask? Well, let's delve into the complexities of the trucking world. These mavericks, these rebels of the road, they're the backbone of an industry that keeps our economy afloat. They're the ones pushing the boundaries, transporting goods at breakneck speed, keeping those shelves stocked and our lives ticking along. It's a high-stakes game of logistics and endurance, and they're playing to win. You see, the trucking industry isn't as black and white as it may seem. It's a world where the rules are more like guidelines, and those who follow them to the letter can find themselves at a disadvantage. The trucking industry is a beast, and the outlaws are the ones who've learned to ride it rather than be trampled underfoot. These outlaws, they're not just bending the rules for the thrill of it, they're doing it out of necessity. In an industry where time is money and every second counts, these truckers are trying to keep up with an unrelenting demand that doesn't always align with the hours of service regulations. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about glorifying rule breaking, it's about acknowledging the reality of a system that often puts drivers in a tough spot. It's about understanding that some truckers feel the need to take risks, to push themselves beyond their limits, not because they want to, but because they feel they have to. And while it's true that these actions can lead to consequences, from hefty fines to risking their commercial driver's license and even their freedom, it's also a testament to their grit and determination. They're not just rule breakers. They're survivors, trying to make a living in an industry that doesn't always play fair. So, the next time you see a truck speeding by, remember there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye.